First of all, thank you very much to all of you for signing up for the hackathon as well as for this youth network, and a very, very warm welcome into this first session. And through a series of more sessions into this youth network, we'll be exploring, collaborating, learning from each other, and doing cool stuff. So thank you once again for being a part of this. We are very happy to have you all with us. And with that, I welcome you all. And as we begin into today's session, since this is the first session, it will be nice for all of us to just know what we've signed up for in a little bit more detail and what are some of the cool benefits that you get by being a part of this. So I invite Priya to share all the nice things about this youth network with you. Priya, please welcome.
Thanks so much, Chaitali. And, it's just really very exciting for all of us here, um, from the organizing team, which many of you have now been interacting with for many weeks, to be here for the launch of the first India Food Systems Youth Network, together with so many of you. Vishal, if you don't mind going to the next slide. You may have to scroll up or something. Yeah, perfect. Um, this network is, as you all know, but for anybody who perhaps did not participate in the Food Systems Transformation Hackathon, I'm going to spend just a short minute explaining. So we've had, just really wonderful response to the hackathon. We had nearly 350 students from 45 universities and from a large number of courses and disciplines participate and come up with very interesting creative ideas that are relevant for the future of food. And all of you who participated as a result are also part of this youth network. But one of the things that I would like to emphasize is that the youth network is not restricted to somebody who participated in the challenge and is open to any university student in India, any student who is enrolled in an undergraduate degree program, in a master's degree program, in a diploma program, in a vocational training program, anyone who's interested in food. So as you get involved and become active in the network, we really hope that you will bring along, other students, your classmates, your batchmates, your friends from other universities and other disciplines to become part of it. Now, what really is this Food Systems Youth Network? It is a community of change makers, and it is a community of young people like yourselves who have taken an interest in food, which is absolutely wonderful. But if I had to explain it in a very simple way, think of it as a club. Think of it as perhaps one of the many clubs that you might have been part of or may be part of today, even on your campus. It's not at all unusual to have a sports club or a music club or a birding club or a photography club. Those have existed, in our communities and in our campuses, university campuses, for a very, very long time. And what are those clubs about? If you think about one that you might have been part of, what those clubs are about is really people who have a shared interest coming together to do more of what they enjoy doing. So when for instance you're part of a music club, and perhaps you play an instrument or maybe you're a singer, first and foremost it is a gathering of students who come together for a shared experience. You might call it jamming if it is a music club. If it is a sports club, it's people coming together to play something, to play a sport together. It is about learning more in the process, about building your skills, about building knowledge. And then it is about enrolling more and more people, maybe organizing events around it. So, for those of us and for those of you that have an interest in not just food, which we all understand is maybe the act of cooking, eating, which all of us are, of course, deeply interested in because it's such a big part of our lives. But a food systems youth network is really young people who are interested in the subject of the food systems in many different ways. And you might be interested in nutrition, you might be interested in doing something about food waste, you might be interested in educating other people about food, you might be interested in creating, as Chaitali says, cool systems and solutions that marry technology and food together, whatever be your interest, because it's connected to food. This is really a coming together of young people who will then learn together, as we have already begun over the last many weeks by being part of the hackathon and the innovation challenge, about sharing and building on the ideas that so many of you have come up with. We want to make sure that so many of the ideas that may or may not necessarily go to the next stage of the hackathon still have a space where they can be discussed, where they can be grown, perhaps where they can also be implemented. And ultimately, we hope that over a period of time, this will be a really energetic group of people, all of you, and others that you bring along who will advocate for a stronger, better food system in the future for all of us. So that's what this is about. Now, what are we actually going to do together, right? I mean, perhaps that's on your mind. What am I going to do in sessions like this that we will organize? So, Vishal, if you could go to the next slide, please. So, this is what we are going to do. I'll kind of say in a nutshell. This is our first interaction together. So, a big part of today's session is just going to be spent interacting with each other. And, we are going to make very short presentations, but we really want to hear all of you talk, tell us what is on your mind, what you would like from this network, which is yours as well. But we are going to get together also in a structured form to do some interesting, meaningful things together. And here's what you should expect. Twice a month, we will get together online in a session like this, about 60 minutes, perhaps 75 minutes sometimes. One of those online sessions every month will be an educational session. So it will be a webinar delivered by one of the many jury members who themselves are experts in different subjects connected to the food system, them or other guest speakers. So one of them is going to be a session that is educational, that will actually equip all of us to understand different dimensions of food in very interesting interactive ways. But we will learn from somebody who is a knowledgeable expert in that area. And one of the online sessions is really going to be focused on hacking problems, sharing ideas, looking at some of the ideas that came up through the innovation challenge, doing activities around them. So that's true. Now, the other thing that you will have an opportunity to do, which this is where I think it actually starts to become even more interesting beyond getting together in online sessions, is at least one self-curated activity that you will actually perform on your own. We will have lots of suggestions for you, but you can also pick your own. These are just some illustrations. Talk to somebody, food grower or a producer, and talk to them about what it takes to grow food in a good way. Maybe document some recipes that might be in your family heritage that were using indigenous ingredients, or that were using ingredients that you no longer see in your plate or in the market or anywhere else. Look at maybe what happens to food that gets wasted in your college canteen. Visit some place that is doing good work with food. Maybe it's a restaurant, maybe it is somebody who is growing something using hydroponic methods. But whatever it is, we'll have lots of suggestions for what you can do, and you can also pick your own. And then once a month, we would really encourage the members of the network to try and come together where you can, in person, ideally, and do something together. That is really, in some sense, multisensorial. It's also fun, and it will create a different sort of an opportunity for you to engage around the subject of food. Perhaps it is, cooking something together. Maybe it is growing a little bit of food in a small patch on your campus or elsewhere. And we hope that, particularly in cities, we had a number of cities from where we had lots of participants, for example, Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, as well, where there are already a number of students either coming from the same university, or you may be coming from different universities, but you're in the same city. As this network grows, we hope that we can create, along with all of you, opportunities also for participants to come together and do something physically. So this is what we'll do, and I hope it kind of gives you a sense for the potential for not just learning, which most certainly is there, but more than that, the potential for doing things that you're interested in, and for actually using your hands and your senses to be with food as such. And I kind of want to cover maybe one last um, one last topic before I pause. Vishal, if we could go to the next slide. Perhaps some of you are thinking about what happens. I mean, if you're part of this network, what happens beyond, for example, the opportunity to interact with each other, with so many different people from across the country, with so many practitioners and experts, as you've already begun to see. One of the things that you should expect coming out of your active participation in the network is a certificate. You will, as you know, if you are a participant in the hackathon, you will have a participation certificate for the hackathon. In addition to that, you will receive a participation certificate for being a member of the youth network. We are in the process, and as we kind of interact further in our upcoming calls, we'll talk to you about a very cool and interesting recognition framework that we are putting together for the most active participants, who we know will also rise as champions of the food network, and who will do very interesting and impactful things as part of the network, and beyond in your communities. So we will have a recognition framework that we will share with all of you. And through this process, because we are going to be together for the next several months, through this process, we will create opportunities for you to meet with people from the industry, with other institutions, with companies, who we will bring, along this journey to learn from the network and to also be active together with the network's activities. So with that, I'm going to pause. We'd be very happy to answer any questions you have. We are also very interested in your ideas for what we should do together. And I'm going to hand over to Chaitali so that she can lead us to the next part of today's session.
Thanks, Priya, for laying out all these things very well and clear. And of course, as Priya said, if you all have any questions related to how, whatever she has spoken so far, or any other things that we might have missed, please feel free to use the chat and ask, or, share anything that you would like to add to this as well. And we do have, some activities planned for you for the day. So please hang on there. And with that, I pass on to Vishal for our first activity. I hope you all participate with your whole hearts into this as well. So Vishal, over to you.
Thanks. Thank you, Chetali. I hope I'm audible. So, we heard Priya and Chetali talk about how what this network would mean and what it would actually enable young people to do with the food system and help enable, reimagine, and transform the system in their respective capacities and with their ideas. So we have planned a simple activity. So you see the question on the screen. What comes to your mind when you think about food? So I invite you to write down what you think when you hear the word food in the chat box, please. I will simultaneously look into the chat box so that I could also read some of the responses. Yum, health, okay. And what else? What else do we think of food when it comes to? I think of deliciousness, emotions. One of the participants said, taste. I agree, but it is one of the best ways to connect with people and culture. Lifestyle, favorite food, images of pizzas and burgers, nourishment, nutrition, hunger, friendship, of course. Food is one of the great ways to connect with friends and family. Necessity for sustaining life, one of the most important. Without food, there is no life. And of course, food in a lot of ways can teach us about sustainability and why we need to imagine food in a sustainable way. I think we have so many participants, but the responses are less. I request all the others to please actively participate. And happiness, of course. Food makes if I'm hungry and if I don't get food in on time, I feel agitated at times. Like currently, right before the session, we had tea. So tea is happiness for me. What else? Do we have other participants? Energy. Yes. So I want to see energy in the chat box, if I may please. Wow, that's very important. Missing mother hand food always, of course. I think we are also nostalgic about how our mother cooks. Food fuels the body, shapes our health, and influences emotions. It's everywhere around us, connecting what we eat and how we feel and live. That's very rightly said. Warmth and comfort is food to many people. Uh, Energy giver, of course. That's why we say a good breakfast is a good start to the day because it's the first meal of the day. Anybody else? We have a good amount of participants. Please, I invite everyone to make sure that they have the space to write. Exactly. Every region within India and outside India, of course, have their own nuances to food, and they represent their culture and people. Something spicy. Okay. Okay. Do we have any last persons to come up and say something in the chat box? Something sweet as well. Very rightly said. Wow, that was some of the very enriching, I shall say, tasty responses in the chat box. It is. I hope you uh, have enjoyed this activity, and the chat box is yours. Please feel free to continue to chat in whenever you feel like. Chaitali, shall we move ahead?
Yeah, thanks, Vishal. Thanks for this light activity and getting us all active. I like how the energy of the group is shaping up slowly. And for the participants, as we chatpate response, I like that. As we get into this session further, we'll be discussing about deeper things and discussing about food systems and all of that. So this feels like a nice start and good energy and momentum to begin. And with that, I would also like to welcome Dr. Gurmeet Singh into this session. Dr. Gurmeet Singh is the professor and dean at TDU. TDU is the University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology in Bangalore. Most of you who have participated in the hackathon might have heard about TDU already. Dr. Gurmeet, could you please share something about why we have set up this network and what should students, do when they are here together?
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me? Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, let me begin by introducing myself and then the organizations behind setting up this youth network, and then a bit about food systems and about why this food network, yeah, this youth network. So, first of all, I'm Gurmeet. I was born when the Earth had a CO2 level of 322 ppm, right? And today it's 430 ppm in 2026, right? And globally, we have mostly in policies a target of trying not to exceed 450 ppm 450 parts per million of CO2 equivalent in the air, because that gives us a chance. If we can limit it to 450, that gives us a 50% chance of not going beyond a 2-degree temperature increase globally, right? So I guess as another exercise, what I wanted maybe all of you to do is that as part of your introduction, if you just go on the web somewhere, I'm guessing you are on your phones or wherever, and check what the ppm, the CO2 ppm was in the year you were born, right? And just put it uh, on chat, right? Hi, I'm Gurmeet or whatever your name be, and the ppm level. Just want to see what years you were born in and what the CO2 levels were in that year. So can everybody take a minute, go on Google and find the CO2 level. It's a very quick thing. If you say CO2 ppm and your year, it'll probably give you. Yeah. Hey, Chaitali, I can't seem to put anything on chat globally, only mark it to you. Is there a reason?
So in the chat, you can see everyone, and besides everyone, you can see my name on the top. So you just have to choose everyone.
Hmm, everyone. I can't seem to see everyone.
Um, in the chat box, you go on the very top. And on the top, you can see everyone, my name, and a new chat sign.
I don't see anything like that in my chat
Oh.
box. I just see two Chaitali. Yeah. Hmm.
Maybe we can read to you, Gurmeet.
Read out to you. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
go
can
ahead.
see everybody's. I can see 371, 382,
Yeah. Now you are in
325,
the everyone chat.
37. No, I can see everybody. I can't write to everyone. Yeah, I can only write to you. That's the issue. Pratna 382. So yeah, so most of the youth network probably in the range 370 to 385, right? 375 to 385. And we are kind of, yeah, I think increasing about 3 ppm, 2.5 to 3 ppm every year. So if you're trying to limit ourselves to 450 ppm and going at a rate of 3 ppm each year, that gives us about 7 years, right? At max, right? To prevent reaching 450 or stop at 450. And most of us want to then retract and go back to about 350 ppm. So I think the reason for doing this exercise was to tell how fast we have gone from when you were born into a nice, clean, 360, 370 ppm to a present 430 ppm and just bordering on what is considered to be a near chaos at 450 ppm, right? And therefore, the urgency of trying to do something about it. And, and therefore, we're coming together on food around this. And why food? Because food contributes quite significantly to climate change, to environment, to the greenhouse gases, but not just to greenhouse gases, to also the amount of water we use. 90% of freshwater withdrawals in India are used for food. Uh, if we look at the land area, then more than 50% of total habitable land in India is devoted to a food systems as well as globally, right? So these are massive numbers of impact on food. And besides the health of the planet, if you look at the health of the society, then again, a lot of livelihoods, especially in a country like India, where 60% of the population derives its primary livelihood from food, right? Either growing it or primary processing it, like rice polishing, wheat milling, etc., or secondary processing, converting in food industry, or cooking it in dhabas, in street side stalls, in the restaurants, or today delivering it as Swiggy, right? So that 60% of India's population, primary livelihood, 1.5 billion population, that means 900 million people in India derive primary livelihood from food. That's a massive number, right? And finally, if you look at our own health, right, besides the health of the planet and the health of the society, right, then 30 to 70% of all non-communicable diseases have their roots in our own food choices that we make, right? So therefore, I think some of the answers that you gave, right, were all pointing to these directions, right? And these three, as we call these three spheres of health, the innermost sphere, which is our health, we sit in a sphere around the society, in a society, and so societal health, livelihoods, equity, dignity, justice, and then the bigger sphere, which is the planet, which ensconces all of us, right? And it's imperative just by the ppm of CO2 in the air, right? It tells us how urgent the need is to try and do something, and food having such a big impact on all these three dimensions of health, right, is probably a very good place to start, and not just a good place to start, maybe one of the must places to start. So we call food as center of plate whenever we want to address the environment, the society, and our own health, right? Now, three organizations have come together for creating this youth network, and I'll spend a few minutes about each. Firstly, the organization where I come from, Transdisciplinary University. It's a university in Bangalore. I'm actually a chemical engineer by training, right? And who got interested in plants and food long ago. And therefore, for my PhD, I looked at designing bioreactors for plants. I did my BTech from chemical engineering from IIT Delhi, then moved to the US to do my PhD. And my initial interest was in academia. So I went on to become a professor at Penn State University and then IIT Delhi in the biotech department. Then moved to industry, Unilever R&D. And for 20 years, I was doing research on tea, which is another plant with a lot of different benefits, right? And a lot of livelihood creation, a lot of other health benefits. It was an interesting plant to work on, right? And there got to learn a lot about food and beverages, and wanted to work in this whole area of food and sustainability, food and environment, food and health, and therefore joined a transdisciplinary university, which gave me an opportunity to seed this program on what we call as Food Futures. So it's a very big program, probably the only program of its kind in India in a university setting, and one of the few globally. Such kind of programs are just beginning to emerge in the leading universities around the world. We have a team of around 50 people, about 20 or so faculty. Then there are research fellows, PhD students, MSc by research students, etc. in the whole program. And researching various aspects of food and sustainability and food and health and food and livelihoods. Uh, and the two other organizations which are on board for this youth network are one is COFTI, Coalition of Food for Food Transformations, Food System Transformations in India. Uh, it's an organization which has, it's a coalition which the lead figure is FSSAI, the Food Safety Standards Authority of India. Its previous CEO, Mr. Pawan Agarwal, he was an IAS officer, retired, and he was heading FSSAI, and he set up again an organization called Food Futures, and which then went on to create this coalition. And this coalition today has, I think, more than probably a couple of hundred experts as part of it. So when you join this youth network, you also kind of become a part of this network, right, of experts around India. The third organization which is behind it, and probably the most important one, because it's the organization which is providing the funding for both the hackathon and this program, and it's called an organization called GIZ. It's a German federal enterprise specializing in international development cooperation for sustainable development. And you can read all about GIZ if you go and type GIZ Germany on the web and learn a lot more about it, right? It operates in more than 130 countries and has a big presence in India. And is the reason why we are all here. We're very gracious to them, thankful to them for providing the funding for this youth network. Yeah. So, so I think uh, this youth network is built around what we call as food system transformations, and the transformation word is an operative word, an important word that we should all understand here right at the beginning, right? Transformation is not incremental change, right? Transformation is something massive, right? It's we stop doing things one way and start doing another thing. So with transformation, it's not only about what we should do, but it's also what we should stop doing, right, etc. And all of these partners, GIZ, COFTI, and TDU, all of us felt that transformation is the operative word that we need to look at in the context of food and food systems, right? And I just want to that this word transformation stays, yeah, in your mind as you go around in this journey in trying to understand and trying to be a part of this youth network, right? Uh, One reason we are all here is because we feel that we want to champion this cause, right? Of doing good for the planet, doing good for society, and of course doing good for ourselves and our families, right? And therefore, I'm hoping that during this course of about a year or so with the youth network, that all of us will think of some personal actions, right? Hey, this is what I want to do. And it's a nice exercise. We'll not do it today, but maybe next session, etc. But a nice exercise about what is a personal action I would like to do, right? Uh, Many things, right? When I ask my class, they come up with all sorts of things like, I will eat more organic, I will eat more plant-based, I will eat more local, I will eat, right, and do these things. It's very personal action. I will go personally and buy food, look at food, I will go visit farmers, etc., etc., etc. So many ideas come up as we do this exercise. And I think we should go through one such exercise here as well in one of our future sessions, right? And then, of course, as we set our own personal actions, our goal is to be a change agent, right? As we go through this network, learn of each other, get inspired and motivated by the company we are in, and be a change agent, right? And when we say a champion and a change agent, we begin by talking to our friends and family about the need for thinking about our food choices and how they impact, right? The planet, the society, our own health. We really don't think about in that perspective, but every single food choice we make has these massive implications. And just to be sensitive to these, right, is I think another big step. So we are hoping that as you get more and more engaged in this youth network around food system transformations, that you will become not just champions, but change agents as well, right? And as agents, the third dimension to that, or the third step on the ladder, is to become a leader, therefore, right? Which is that you are bringing others on board as well, right? Into this network, right? And not just yourself, but you're bringing others who are also interested in this and bringing them onto part of this network, right? And the whole, maybe that you even create chapters around food futures or food system transformations in the universities and the colleges where you are working out of, right? That would be a great action. And as you set up chapters, your actions would go beyond your personal to maybe community actions, city-based actions, country actions, global actions, because I've seen students and student networks around the world beginning to initiate actions which go beyond their campuses into countrywide and global actions as well, right? Today, I think an important aspect to remember is that education is no longer about what we learn in the classroom, right? That was okay in my day and age, and maybe even in my kids' day and age. But today, as most of you are still in college, a lot of the education that you learn in colleges, even what we teach in colleges, now available maybe in a better form online through all these AI engines, YouTube videos, etc. So education of classroom plus beyond classroom is becoming extremely important. And this opportunity of this youth network is this second dimension of education, which is almost becoming a must now, which is education beyond the classroom. And for that, you do need a ecosystem, and we are hoping that this youth network and coupled with the network of experts that we will expose you to and engage you with will provide that ecosystem for this learning beyond the classroom. I was just listening to an interview of Ajay Banga. I don't know how many of you have heard of Ajay Banga, but Ajay Banga is the current head of the World Bank, right? And uh, and he was saying that, when I was in college, all my success depended on my IQ, right? And which is for most of us, it depends because we're looking at grades and marks and how well we can attempt a problem which is given to us, right? Uh, he says, when I stepped into work, I realized that my success depended more on EQ than on IQ, which is how do you things get done when nobody really else in the organization is interested in your success, right? Or in your there's no grading system that if I do this, I get marks, right? And therefore, working in such an environment where you have to work with colleagues and your bosses and your juniors for your success, right, is what EQ is all about. He also had a third level called DQ, which I will not get into, which is at his stage when he becomes a leader, right? But this network helps you if you get engaged with it. It helps you in the EQ part of it, right, as well, right? And as Priya mentioned, there are some very solid things which also come out besides the soft things that I have spoken, and those are things like certification. You do get a certification. You do get just like a green belt, a yellow brown belt, a black belt in judo. You will get a belt degree or a Six Sigma, right? Earnings that you will get here as well for the work that you do and the engagement that you show, the championship leadership that you show. And we will expose you to a network of people from across industry, academia, policymakers, NGOs, and our attempt is even to bring global experts there. So you will build a network which is way beyond that a campus education can help you with, right? And that network you could use, right? If you get to know some of these people, you could use for your future development and growth, right? And lastly, the purpose of this youth network is to try and do all this in a manner which is fun, right? It is not about just lectures and theory, etc., but it is about uh, having fun together. And that onus is on us and our team as to how do we make these sessions fun, how do we make them engaging, how do we gamify them, and yet be able to help that all of us come out of this year as better educated in this whole area of food system transformations. So I'll stop here, and I hope that as part of your introductions, when you're writing your CVs, when you're writing your resumes, uh, below your name, you do write your ppm, CO2 ppm in the year you were born. You don't need to mention the year you were born there, but probably, I mean, I've seen many such CVs beginning to appear on the web where they are giving such kind of information, and it really catches the eye at this point of time. Hey, wow, okay. So that's the thought that I leave you with. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. What we are doing next, which is joining our WhatsApp group so that we can keep sharing and keep reminding you about all these sessions that we are going to do ahead. And very soon, I'll also send an email link to you all to join a Google Classroom. So through that, you will be able to share more about what you all are doing in your respective projects or areas. And Pranali, feel free to write to us a little bit about what you're doing so that we can pass it on to all the members of the youth network. And yeah, please scan this QR code. You could do this right now and join the WhatsApp group so that you all do not miss out on any information or any reminders about what's happening into this network. Please do join it and attend all the monthly sessions and activities. And the next session that is coming up soon is on the masterclass on in food systems, where Dr. Gurmeet Singh will be speaking specifically about food systems and all the topics that we discussed today, get into the details of it and beyond that as well. So yeah, Vishal, could you please go to the next slide? Yeah, so you join the WhatsApp group as well as also feel free to invite your friends to join this youth network who may not have had a chance to participate in the hackathon or, sign up the form yet. But yeah, please feel free to share this link that you see on your screen right now to share with your friends and bring in more and more people into this group and enrich it with your discussions and ideas. And yeah, we look forward to keeping in touch with you all and making this network brighter and bigger. Thank you everyone for joining, and we hope to see you in the next session and in the WhatsApp group as well. Thank you.
Thank